Now I'll tell you how to use if, elif, and else in the interpreter. So this becomes a bit awkward because Python requires the source code to be indented very carefully. And this shows the limitations of the interpreter immediately, because you're editing everything line by line, and it becomes kind of difficult to keep the indentation. So next week we'll see a better method of interacting with Python, but meanwhile, just bear with me and doing it in this way. So I've prepared some code here, and you can see that I've assigned the value -10 to x, and then I asked Python to act differently depending on the value of x. And you can see that what happened here is I copy-pasted and I stopped here, and then the whole time Python was telling me with 3 dots that it was expecting more and more and more from me, and I was entering it, and it expects more up until I press enter on a blank line, and then it knows I'm done. So it's needed, if you think about it, this is needed for Python to be able to tell that I'm done. Otherwise, it would have already finished here or some other place. So anyway, now I've entered my code and Python can interpret it. So x was -10, so it does some testing, and indeed x is smaller than 0, so it will print x is negative. Now this was kind of immediate because only the first test would pass anyway, and the first test passed, so it acted on that. But you can also ask for some tests which involve many if and elif statements, but let's say here we assign the value 0 to x, and then we do some testing. And you see that actually both this condition and this condition is true, but only one line was printed, that x was equal to 0. And the reason for this is that the elif part here is never executed because that part succeeded. So remember, if you do a chain of elif statements, as soon as one succeeds, the rest is dropped and never executed. Okay, so this was for if and elif, and you can also use the catch-all else at the end to catch all the remaining cases. And here you can see it that if x is -0.5, all the previous tests I've designed fail, so I have to go through the else part and print this line.